We got a game in big noon on Fox. Wrigley Field, Michigan favored by 10 at Northwestern. Northwestern been a little bit of a problem for some teams, okay? It gave Nebraska a little bit of a scare, beat Penn State. Northwestern, if you catch them all on the wrong day, they can do some damage here. Michigan, it's not going to be a game where you walk out there and you have that library vibe, which I thought you might have at first glance in this game, going to Northwestern and having a 12,000 limited capacity spot. It's Wrigley Field, all right? So you'd have to think now there'll be some Northwestern folks in attendance, but this could also be in some ways now. I know Michigan alumni base is huge. Maybe you got a little bit extra home juice at your back here if you're Michigan. But for Michigan, you are right now looking at the game against Ohio State and saying, that is our ticket. That's it for us. Go beat Ohio State, be a 2-loss team, be 10-2, and proud. If you beat Ohio State that last game of the regular season like you've done for the last couple of years, you're probably in the college football playoff. However, can you handle this spot, Michigan? Can you be mature with a true freshman quarterback against a good enough Northwestern team to beat you? Can you find a way to handle this spot correctly and keep those college football playoff hopes alive? It remains to be seen. But if you want to simplify things for your true freshman quarterback, man, you run the football. And unfortunately for Northwestern, they're allowing 5 yards a carry. I don't love that formula with what Michigan has been identity-wise over the course of this season. There's a world where Michigan wins this game, and we see a Bryce Underwood stat line like he had against Michigan State. Less than 100 yards passing, efficient through the air, maybe one touchdown on the ground as well. But you don't need to ask all that much of Bryce Underwood, at least as it stands right now, breaking down this thing, as maybe you will in those games in the future. So if I'm Northwestern here, Northwestern folks, it's a good school now, all right? There's probably some good self-awareness on that side in the Northwestern locker room. I think they know they probably can't stop Michigan up front with an honest box. Like, I would be wildly surprised if we don't see Northwestern sell out to stop the run. So, me personally, if I'm rooting for Michigan to make the college football playoff, or I'm holding the Bryce Underwood overcard on any of his props this weekend, I'm hoping and praying that Michigan says, all right, Northwestern, you've proven now you're going to throw the kitchen sink at us to stop the run. If you can stop the run, more power to you. If you can minimize the run, more power to you. I'd be really excited to see Sharon Moore, Chip Lindsey say, all right, Bryce, Ohio State in a few weeks here. Let's let him get warm a little bit here. Let's do what Ohio State's doing, what Notre Dame's doing, bring our young quarterback along. Let's let him cut it loose a little bit. Because if you can do that, it's going to be over by halftime for this game with Northwestern. I understand it's in Chicago, so technically a home-ish environment potentially in play here for Northwestern. But if Bryce Underwood can throw the football and then Michigan is able to run the ball off of that as well, it's going to be all bets are off at that point in time if you are betting Northwestern on that side. Now, for Northwestern, the offense has got a to-do list in front of you, okay? Find your matchup is the first part of this to-do list. Griffin Wilde is your go-to receiver. He's got 43 catches on the year. The next closest amount of receptions to that for Northwestern is 19. You're force-feeding 17 all day long. So if you're Preston Stone, quarterback transfer from SMU, if you remember correctly, now at Northwestern, just take what the defense gives you, man. Which you haven't done an awesome job at doing to this point in the year. 11 touchdowns and 9 picks for one Preston Stone. In this spot, though, I do think Michigan, if they're not overly aggressive, they're going to, I think, surrender some of that short passing game. Like Michigan, the way that they operate on that side of the football, they almost dare you to be patient enough to get to the fourth quarter with them. They dare you to be disciplined enough to not make the big mistake that turns the ball over to their running game where they just make you submit at that point in time. Can Preston Stone be patient enough and disciplined enough in this spot to go to his matchup, to force-feed Griffin Wilde, to not get too ambitious if they see something downfield? Just take what the defense gives you, stay in your own lane, do what you got to do to get to the fourth quarter. Now, in the fourth quarter, here's the tough part. I keep going back to this for Michigan. This game is still about the big human beings. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if Bryce Underwood, again, doesn't have this massive breakout game in the month of November where you think differently about the Michigan offense ahead of Ohio State and you're looking at all the weapons that Michigan has and saying, okay, now if Bryce Underwood throwing like that, here we go. Even if that doesn't happen, I still don't like the numbers for Northwestern against the run. There's not enough there to get me excited. If USC is running the ball like that against Northwestern, what's Michigan going to do? That's not knocking USC, but I'm just saying this is Michigan's identity. I mean, God, family, and run the football is what Michigan Wolverine ball is all about, man. So I think in this spot, you can't allow 5 yards of carry and feel good about yourself going into this game. Also, the turnover numbers from Preston Stone, the narrow path for Northwestern to winning this game. I don't think Northwestern either has a great chance to run the ball in this spot, with Michigan being top 15 in the country against the run. There's too much there for me to feel good about Northwestern pulling off the upset. If it's going to happen, it means that Bryce Underwood had some kind of gutter ball game, and that would be surprising, because if Bryce Underwood starts to have a shaky start, at that point then Michigan would just turn around and run the football. So it would take both stupidity and a freshman game from Michigan to ultimately lose this football game, and I don't think we see either. I think we see Michigan win. I think Michigan covers, and we keep on hurtling towards that game. Last week of the regular season, Michigan-Ohio State, with Michigan having a chance, if they win that game, to punch their college football playoff ticket.